Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us for this new episode of Inspiring Our World. My name is Julie Tara, and today I am very excited to be talking with one of our most loved consultants, Barb Satterwhite. And just to say before we start that Barb is she's the epitome of a consultant who keeps going out there making it happen. And because of that, she wins all the contests, and we're going to talk about contests during this time together. So Barb, thank you so much for being here and taking your time out of your precious day to talk with us about your experience with Nikken.
Thanks, Julie. It's always fun to talk about Nikken.
It is.
Yeah, it is.
And you've been involved for, I think, about the same length of time as myself, somewhere around 27, 28 years, correct?
Correct.
Yes. And you're a platinum consultant here in North America. And so I want to know, first of all, I know you have an amazing background in nursing and in oncology. So I know you're a very, very, very smart woman. Very smart. And I want to know, why did Nikken appeal to you? What got you to really even look at this coming from a Western medical background?
Good question. And actually, it was because of a friend. And you're from Colorado, and my husband and I were introduced to Nikken on the slopes of Vail 28 years ago. But because I was in nursing, worked at the medical college, never heard of this, I laughed for a year. Didn't mean anything. I didn't understand it. And a year later, we're going back out, and I said, bring me the information. I want to read about it. And it was the article that got my attention, talked about how the magnetic earth, how you and I, our plants and animals, wouldn't survive without it. And I went, this makes sense. I love being outside, and I feel better outside. So anyway, I read more and I went over to their room, and the rest is history. But that particular week, my husband fell, and we all have knee injuries, and they drove to Richmond and gave us 2 products and put on his knee that was very, very swollen. And he goes out and does a concrete construction job. And it was amazing. So that got my attention.
So it helped his knee get better.
Big time. And the next person I wanted to help was my dad. I'm from Canada, and my dad, wonderful person, wasn't complaining, but I went, wow, what if I could do something for my dad? And immediately sent him some products. And I said, if I don't help anybody but these 2 people, I'm happy.
Helping people is what it's all about, isn't it? It's what it's all about. And so what was your dad going through that it helped him? What happened there?
Well, it's interesting. He lived alone, and he had COPD, which he had been a heavy smoker and had stopped, but I knew that he wasn't complaining. He did everything. And I thought, wow, if I just send him these insoles, maybe he'll see a difference. And I sent them the back magnet, and the original back magnet, you remember, looked like a mud flap. And you're going to laugh at this, but I said, Dad, just drill a hole in it, put a chain on it, and whenever you have trouble breathing, put it around your neck. Because we didn't have the neck bands, we didn't have any of that.
Yes.
Now, he probably thought his nurse daughter was crazy, but he didn't say that. And anything I sent him, he used, and it was incredible. He would never have had his quality of life if it hadn't been for these products the last 8 years.
I love hearing this. I didn't know this story, but I know because I help my mom and my dad a lot with their health, with these technologies. And I was sort of opposite of you, because Dad was the doctor and I was the alternative healer, right? In energy medicine, but very alternative to him. So he had to get past the thing of, what does Julie know, But he had also remarkable results with all kinds of issues, and was like completely shifted, studied magnetic fields, bought all the books, that I suggested, and actually met Mr. Masuda, which was a very special meeting where they exchanged business cards. I'll never forget it, outside of Nikken corporate, the office. It was beautiful. And he just really had a complete change of viewpoint, which is hard when you're brought up with Western medicine and that kind of thinking, right?
Well, and what I loved about my dad, we just had that relationship, a good trusting relationship. So obviously he would do anything I suggested. And that was cool because most family members don't want to listen to you. And I was blessed because anything I sent him or advocated, he tried and he got results. So I was just so grateful. Number one, that he was open. Number two, that I had these technologies to share. I mean, it's just so cool that you have something that can help. It gives people hope.
It truly does. I always feel the Nikken technologies and why I've been involved so long is I feel like they're survival tools and they're critical. And it is our duty, just our duty to share things that actually work, that are safe, non-invasive, that have no negative side effects, that are easy to use, easy to implement. I mean, that's huge. And they work. That's the bottom line. I don't care what people think in their head. The technologies, the products work, and the proof is in that pudding.
And I always said to myself, and I said to anybody in my group, our products, I would put it, your products are your employees. They don't call in sick. You don't have to pay them. You don't have to discipline them, and they work. So I call them my employees.
I love that. I absolutely love that. And I think we know that personal engagement, and when people have personal experience with the products, that's when the penny really drops. That's when the aha comes. So we can engage through social media. We can meet people. We can, become friends and create relationships there. But it's when they get their own products, or when we lend product, or however we do it, that penny really drops, and they're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know you meant this. Yeah, I love that. So, tell me, what's your favorite product? Is there a favorite of everything Nikken is comprised of?
It's a tough one, but I like, and I will always say, the water.
Yes.
Because there's no good water out there. Everybody's buying water. Water's so essential, and it's so basic, and everything else we do works better when we're hydrated.
Yes, you're absolutely right. I don't know what I do without this water. I don't know what I do. I've just been studying H2 water, hydrogen water, to understand more about it. and that's taking it to a whole other level. So that's the first thing I do in the morning, is hydrogenate the water and then guzzle it down. And yeah, it's critical for all the workings of the body and the mind, the brain.
Yeah, it's critical. And like I said, it more and more, and I just heard on the news about Jackson, Mississippi, where they have a major water crisis right now. Major. And I just immediately called a customer I have there and shared with her about the waterfall.
Good for you. Yeah, I remember the Flint, Michigan experience, with all the lead. And in fact, that was referred to in this book on H2 water, and just how old the pipes are, and it's just so, and it takes like so many days to get to us, and sits still in these tanks and so forth, and all the chloromazine and everything that goes into it. It's just, water is essential for life. No kidding. So yeah, I love that. So tell me about I know we're going to talk about contests, but first I want to talk with you about your mission with Nikken and how the 5 pillars of health fit into that. Can we talk about that a little bit?
Sure. I think, for me, it's about connecting people to what we have, to joy, to happiness, to better health, better finances. And you do that just by being out and about and connecting. I think that's why it's been so easy for me, because I love people. I like being around people. And so when you do that, you develop a relationship. And when you've got everybody out there has an issue. I mean, it may not come up initially, but what if somebody brings up something and you can offer them something? So if you look at, and it's funny, the 5 pillars of wellness, I look at that. It was funny. I never wrote goals and objectives for my life, or never did that, other than in nursing when you had to. And I actually, the connotation of goals just wasn't a good one for me, because you had to do these very specific things. But when I started, and this is what I have really gained from Nikken in terms of the community and the personal growth. I mean, like I said, I never thought to think personally about my goals. And so when I was looking at doing that and trying to, say, in January, figure out what you're going to do for the year, I just took the 5 pillars of wellness as the framework, the conceptual framework for what do you want? What do you want in each of these? And that makes it simple, because each of those apply to your life totally. So I like that idea. It just helps you focus on what do you really want. And because, we've got a lot of things going on. How do you hone it down to what? So if you look at those: mind, body, family, society, finances, what is it you'd like to have? What's your intention for the year? So that's how I look at them.
I like that because it's reminding me like of a map, and you sort of have a compass, and then you can look at each one and pick 1 or 2 or 3 goals in each one. Nothing too overwhelming, obviously, but just one, because that would be 5 altogether. What is that intention? It kind of sets your intention of what you want to create.
Well, it's also, for lack of a better word, forcing you to think about what you really need or want. Because I don't know about you, but I've never really thought about the future and what I want to do. It just, life goes on. And so it was a whole new concept for me to even think about that. So that's what that forces you to do. Okay, what is it you want? And then what I've learned so much through all the exposure to people and books is what you think about is reality. So you better think about the good things, and you better have some good intentions for what you want. So
yes,
it's really interesting. I've just been thinking about that lately, of how all that really came through Nikken and Nikken people, and the association with the Nikken community about not just humans being more, but all the books I've gotten into that I would never probably have done.
I love that. And I love what you said about, just sort of like basically positive mental attitude, like really expecting success, expecting good things. Because I really feel that Nikken is so much teaching us about how to manifest our lives, how to be co-creative in the world, to create what we really intend. And I do feel, and I know you feel this way too, that it all comes down to the heart and our intention of service in some way or other, that it's really all about servant leadership. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. And, I retired from nursing, and so for several years now. So what this has done is given me a purpose. Not that I can say to you back then, I need a purpose. But what I've discovered is that what we know is so valuable. It's not only valuable for me and family, but it's valuable for so many people. And we've got a world that's hurting out there. Very much so, in so many ways. And on several levels, we can help address that.
100%. Plus our animals, our planet. The world is hurting. I always feel like it's about alleviating suffering and uplifting the human spirit. To me, that's kind of what, for me, Nikken is. And what you said about giving you purpose, which I think is also really important when people retire from a career that they've done for a long time and they're very self-identified with, to have a deeper level of soul purpose. Not to say that wouldn't have been, but to keep you going. Because I've certainly noticed a lot of people, when they retire, they feel very lost. They don't know, well, what am I sort of here for now? Just to play with the grandchildren? That's probably lovely and maybe not enough. So your mission, how would you describe your purpose and mission?
Well, to back up to what you were just talking about, when I think about it, I'm busier than ever. Okay, really. I mean, with the passion I have for what I'm doing, I'm busier than ever. And people say, well, and no, people haven't really asked me that, but bottom line is, you would think after being in nursing so long ago, and I'm so busy and never have time to do everything I want to do. But that, it was just a natural transition for me, I guess. That's what feels so good. And it's something I can do anywhere. Like, I'm at my cottage right now. So I can come down here, bring all of my laptop and everything, and I can work. I've been on the phone for the last couple of days with all the things we've got going on. So I can go anywhere and work. And actually, this is what got my attention back when I was first introduced. My dad, who was still living, in nursing, I couldn't take off 4 or 5 times a year and go see him, right? That last year or two of his life, I was going home at least 4, 5, 6 times a year, and could do that, and meeting people who would benefit from what I do now. So all of that, it's very subtle, and it's not something you think about maybe, but wow, to give me that, what I call independence, and or anyway, so you can do it anywhere was what I like. And connecting with people, there's no lack of people. There's no lack of people. I don't care whether it's you're engaging in social media, whether you're, for me, it's like having a party, going to a social event. My 95-year-old neighbor, just gave him a birthday party last week before I left, and the neighbors are there, and in conversation found out something about one of the neighbors, mentioned the water. Bottom line is, he comes over, he loves the water, he's got a waterfall. And again, it wasn't to sell him a waterfall, but I knew what was going on with his family, that it would be beneficial. So it's just so natural, and I think people work too hard at this. If you just make it part of you that you have something to share, the big challenge is not talking too much. And I have to admit that the first 15, 20 years, I talked too much about it. So it's more about asking questions and listening to people, and just kind of gauging, is it something that you want to throw out there or offer? I just think people need to relax about it and understand. See, if you have the conviction and the belief, which I do, about not only the company but our products, then I'm not afraid to mention it, because I am so I am a product of the product, right? And that's the other thing. At my age, people don't believe the age I am. And I say, well, for 20 some years, I've been embracing Nikken. So something might be different here.
This is a really great point, because you are truly a product of the products. And I feel like this is a very important thing. We should be the product of the products. And it's funny, my stepdaughter just said the other day, she just said, Julie, you are a living example of what you teach, around health. And it's the same for me as for you. People can't believe, I'm the age that I am, and I'm full of vitality and energy and vibrancy and ideas, and always studying and always having fun out there. When I play with my grandkids, they love it. They want their parents to go away so I can come, because we are very physical. We're on the floor, we're playing around, we're doing baseball outside, and they're only little. They're only 2 and 4, the ones here in Colorado. And I'm so grateful that it doesn't, I don't have a second thought about, can I get down on my knees, or can I pick them up and twirl them around, or upside down, and that's because of Nikken technologies, eating well and exercising daily. It's pretty basic,
Yeah. Well, I laugh, I told you I was introduced, actually my husband and I met skiing. We were introduced to Nikken skiing, so there's a common denominator there. And I'm still in my mid-70s skiing. I do my week out in Vail every year, so and I don't have all of those issues that most people my age have.
It's so wonderful. That's why I feel like Nikken's for everyone. It's for every age. It's from, babies to when we're ready to move on to the next big adventure. They're for everyone. And I love that. And the market penetration is very little. So we have so many people that need what we have, want what we have. They just don't know what we have. And I love what you said about not talking too much, because I think that's very natural in the beginning to be overly effusive and overly excited about it. And then you start to realize that just kind of people go away. So it's much more about engagement and listening. And I love that too. I love listening to others and what they're going through. And then just saying at the end, I might have something that could help you. And then just waiting and not saying anything else, right?
Yeah, but it's hard.
It's definitely hard.
That's the challenge, because we know so much and we believe in so much. But yeah, it has to be on their time.
It has to be their curiosity that draws them in versus us telling them something that they have no clue about, and I think it is important in network marketing, especially from that point of view, that everything is duplicatable. So I think it's super important to be a generalist and not an expert on anything. Be a professional, be a network marketing professional. But the key point of network marketing is, if I can do it, you can do it. And because we have a lot of different products, but we have one wellness home, to talk about the synergy of the wellness home and defer to the company for all the expertise, to our Dave Balza, for instance, and say, well, I don't really know how magnets work, but Dave Balza certainly does. He's the brilliant guy, so that people don't feel intimidated, like, oh, I have to know all this stuff before I can do this. No, you don't. Would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. And that's the thing, is you don't have to know everything about. You just know the belief in your conviction of you've got something that could help.
Yes.
And who do you know? Who do you know that's can benefit? There's so many people, like you said, and it's still very unknown. So it's up to us to share.
And also, people are hurting financially a lot. I was just talking to somebody in England yesterday, and she said, the heating's gone up 4 times. And so they're talking about, heat or eat. I'm like, heat or eat? You need to eat, and you need heat. So, there's a huge opportunity in assisting people with their financial well-being, which sometimes is where their pain is there, much more than in the body or the mind. It's in the wallet. So I think that's beautiful.
You're right.
Yeah. So that's another huge, massive piece that we can listen for and say, well, maybe I can help you with that. And then just see what they say and have them coming toward us. I always thought it was like having, like a wild animal. How would you get a wild fox to come and eat out of your hand? You certainly wouldn't be running after it. You certainly wouldn't be telling it everything you know. You'd be developing trust. And trust is the critical thing, right? Trust to the point where he will come and eat out of your hand.
Yeah, and that's been my mantra for a long, long time. And you've probably heard me say it a lot. It's the relationshiping.
Yes.
And I tell people we're in the shipping business. Friendshipping, relationshiping, and partnershipping. So create that friendship. And it may take several encounters with somebody before you even get into anything that you do. And the relationship, because once you have that relationship, then the trust is there, and you don't have to worry about somebody being open if they trust you. So I think that is critical.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. That is critical. And then things will unfold as they will, and they'll either be interested or they won't. They'll get products or they won't. They'll become a partner with you or they won't, but the more trust is there, the more they'll seek out your wisdom.
And not get hung up on the outcome.
Yes.
Just because you don't want what I'm suggesting, then it's okay.
Absolutely.
It's like, either a yes, a no, or maybe later, are all good answers.
Love that.
And I think that's one of the hardest things for people, because you're so passionate. You want them to do. You want more than they do, which is so typical. So you have to not worry about the outcome, or not be concerned about the outcome. Accept what happens and be patient. Big thing is being patient. And kind of what I always say is that don't put all your eggs in one basket, because that basket of eggs may take a while. So just keep flowing with other contacts, but don't lose sight of the people that you initially encountered. But it's all kind of a dance.
It is a dance. I think it's also trusting in the universe, that the universe will, because it's the universe, the spirit that brought this to you. And so it will open up, it will work out. You just don't know who, but you know that you're going to be supported. So there's the trust there to allow all of that dance to unfold as it will. And some will, some won't, maybe later, maybe not, but that it will show up. So let's look at that with contests, because both you and I can't say I love contests, but I have won just about every contest that ever came through the pipeline of Nikken. And I always thought that was funny, because I was like, I'm not really a contest person, but yet it always happened and I would win. So let's talk about that. How do you win these contests? Team Taishi, Team Kaizen. You just had a great vacation, I know, recently in Hawaii.
Well, it's interesting because I never thought I needed anything to motivate me. I had my own self-motivation, so I wasn't really into contests either. It's funny that you say that, because I didn't think you needed incentives to do what you want to do. But when the incentives come out and you look at that and you go, wow, what I've discovered is what the incentive does is give you a business plan. It gives you a roadmap. It helps you set your goals for the month. And it's exciting because at the end, there's a prize. So, and then it becomes a little bit competitive. If you've done it this year, you want to do it this year. But the other thing is that you really want to have your team involved in that and other people. So helping people, that's why I like the little incentives. There's things that build upon each other, like your power start at the beginning, whatever. But it gives people something to work for with a goalpost and a way to monitor what you're doing. So it really became, I looked the first of the year, what's going to happen? And this is the key with incentives, is don't wait till 3 or 4 months later and go, maybe I should look into this. Read all the details from the beginning so you know what you need to do for the year. So for instance, Team Kaizen or Team Taishi, you have to have a certain volume for the year. So you break that down into, what do I need every month? Okay, so that gives you your little goalpost. And but here's the other thing is, set that, but don't get hung up on it. Don't worry about it. How am I going to do it? Because that's the piece that hangs us up. It's not figuring out how you're going to do it necessarily. It's like, first of all, just know you're going to do it. But then obviously you have to set in routines of what you're going to do every day, your daily method of operation, how you're going, but don't stress over, oh gosh, I don't know if I can make that number. Just let it go. Seriously, let it go, but know that that's something you've put out there, you've written it down. And like you said, the universe kind of comes into play, things happen. So that's how I look at it.
So I love what you said here, and I would agree 100%. I want to know a little bit, I'm thinking, if I was listening to you for the first time, what would be your daily method of operation? Just give us a rough example. Can you do that?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you one thing that's really, really, really cool right now is our phone app. That is so wonderful. I'm using that so much, because if I want to contact you, like especially right now, end of the month, you're trying to figure out where things are. If I send you a quick little video about water or air, and I can just have a message in there, I know immediately if you've opened it up, it notifies me. It gives me a reminder to follow up. And see, follow up is the huge piece. In my mind, there's no difficulty in meeting people and introducing. It's like, okay, follow up, and what do you follow up with, and all of that. So for me, it's every day. And I'm not as structured as some, because I like to do what I like to do during the day. So like I'll probably go walk on the beach later this afternoon. But I want to make sure I check on follow-ups. I check on new people, where I am with them, team. notifications. There's a lot that has to be done, and it's always a constant work in progress of how to organize all your things. But you definitely want to be, following up with the people you met. You want to contact new people. So you need to determine for yourself what you want that to look like on a daily basis.
I like that. I think we're quite similar that way, that we both like being very fluid, but yet we know kind of what's got to happen, And so I will have a list every day of the things I need to do, some of them might go over to tomorrow, but I have the critical things that got to happen. But I don't say this has got to happen at 9 o'clock in the morning and this has got to happen at 12, generally speaking. I'm like, oh, actually, I feel like doing that later. So I have fluidity, but I also have my very set things that I absolutely intend to accomplish. And of course, with Nikken, it is critical that it's prospecting, following up, sponsoring. The recruiting is critical. Nothing's going to happen if that doesn't happen. So that beauty of showing and inviting and then partnering, having people feel safe enough to come in and start their own business and then partnering with them forward. And of course, that's going to help you get to your next goals, but you're not like fixated on it. I love that what you said. It is about letting it go. It's like, I want this, I'm going to have this contest. And that's always what I felt like. I'm going to nail this. And then I would just let it go and do the daily things that would inevitably take me there. Right? Because that's what really gets you there, is the daily method of operation. Yeah. The reaching out to new people.
And I read, maybe it was Richard Brooke, Phyllis Brooke, that said in one of his books, success is enjoying what you do along the way. And it's not maybe that aren't the exact words, but enjoy what you're doing. Like if you said, oh, I hate phone calls, I hate following up. Well, guess what? If you don't enjoy doing it, it's not going to happen. And like, I look forward to following up with people.
Yes.
I look forward to making those calls. And yeah, is it a challenge? Yeah, it is, because, trying to keep it all straight. But that's what success is, enjoying what the process is. And so have a process of what you do, enjoy it, because when you're enjoying it, that comes across too. And I didn't realize all of that. I didn't realize how important that is. But, and here's an example. If I'm in a funky mood, which we all get, that's not the time to call people. In fact, that's the time to go out and take a walk or do something physical. That's what helps me, is breaking that whatever it is, because we all have life things happening. We all have issues, and we all have to, but that's not the time to be engaging with people about prospecting or following up. So that's a little thing that I've learned. The other thing I read in a book, I can't remember the name of the book, but I love this. Change your scenery, change what you do things. And I have to tell you, that's why I love coming down here. I get more energy, but even in my home, and I love my office, but I don't stay in my office. I'll work anywhere in my house that just feels right that day. And that, what the person in the book was saying, they even drive to a parking lot just to have a change. So, it's energy. When you change your energy, and especially if you're in a funk, you got to do something different.
It's so well said. I love it. I love it, because everything is energy, and people pick up on our energy before we even walk in the door. They're feeling us. We're feeling them. Everything is energy first, and of course we work with energy. Our technologies are all energy. It's not the thing itself that's the magic. It's the energy that it creates that's the magic that makes such a shift. So I love what you said. And I also wanted to harken back for a second on just one comment that you said earlier about when you go for a contest, when you said, I can get competitive, and then you said with yourself. And I love that about Nikken, is that you don't have to compete with anybody else. You can compete with yourself, and that is fun. And there's no need to compete with anyone else. That's not the game. The game is to compete with yourself, and then to help others compete with themselves to be the best they can be. And you can be the best you can be.
Exactly.
Yeah, you really, really got it. So, and our time is going so fast. I'm like, oh my gosh. I would